Okay, on this episode, on our Clark Clipper restoration, see those two hydraulic tilt cylinders? Well, we take them apart, rebuild them, 3D print some new boots for them, and put them back together. As you can see, the pile of reconditioned parts is getting higher and higher. So stick around. Okay, let's take one of these hydraulic tilt cylinders apart. You'll notice I already have um, the piston rod end here off, and you'll also notice this is very black. The reason is we had to heat it up really good to get that nut off. Once we heated that up, released the pressure on that, then this just spun off without any problem. So I have no idea what we're going to end up finding inside this, whether it melted the O-ring or what it did. Hopefully not too bad. This is 3/4. How did I do that last? Ooh. Of course. The fitting's just coming off here. I would have hoped that would have come out of there, but I have to deal with that. Now that is not 3/4. We're going to say 5/8. And I would be wrong. 11/16. I think what I'll do is I'm going to set it over in the vise over here on the screen. And we're going to use a little friendly. Oh, no, I don't have to use friendly persuasion. I'm just going to crank it out. So there's that. Now, what do you suppose that is? I'm going to say 7/16. Yeah. Yep, not 1/2 inch. 7/16 a little loose. Probably in between that. Oh, I'll be darned. Again, sorry about that. Again, I'm going to put this in the vise here just real quick and see if I can get that to come out. Hopefully I don't have to heat it up, but knowing my luck, I probably will. Yep, looks like it. So I am going to do that off video and then we'll get back to you. Before I take the heat to these and remove those, I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. Now, I have a confession to make. I pre-loosen these cap screws up here in the vise, but they all loosened up fairly easy. That's all they are, nothing special. These cylinders are actually fairly uncomplicated. You know, the big thing is as long as the bore isn't all scratched up and the rod isn't all scratched up, there's not a whole lot to do except seal them up. At least that's what we're hoping. A little hydraulic fluid leaking out there. Oop, got a lot. I kind of just like making messes. Yeah, this was a little tighter for whatever reason. That came off. Nice. Okay. Now, I have got to, there's three pieces here that hold the top of this in. I don't know what the, I still can't remember what that's called. I guess the gland ring segment. No, these are the gland ring segments. They don't really say what this part is. So what I have to do is go over in the press, press those, press this down just enough. And of course, I'm going to have to press the piston down so I can get to it, get a socket over it. Press that down just enough so I can take those three segments out there, and then I can take the rest off of it. So it's a matter of just, I've got a pipe that I sit over here, push this down, just push this down just a little bit, and then use this little guy here to just get those out of there, and then it will all come off. That reminds me, I've got to Oh, I'd be on the other piston. I think that must be in the cleaning solution. So I'll go ahead and do that and come back and we're finished taking the rest. Okay, so went over, pressed these down, and these are the three pieces that sit around here. There's a groove in here, I'll show you in a minute, that hold this down. Obviously this sits up on top, and this is actually to adjust the gland packing, how much force is on it. Now when you get done with that, you got to pull this piston out. Not the easiest way to do it. So what I do, I put it in a vise and use my air hose here, and that will blow it out. Now, you have to be very careful because this will shoot out. So you have to have one hand to catch this while you blow it out. And then this is what it looks like when it comes out. And hopefully you can see this, but this is the groove I was talking about. And then you know, I'll get this all cleaned up, or soak it in the degreaser, or get that all cleaned up, and or check it for scratches or whatever. Hopefully there aren't any. And these are the leather. There's an O-ring here. Back under here, there's a couple O-rings. There's a spacer there. These are the leather cups, and these are harder than heck. I was able to get one set of these. What I'm going to end up having to do is I was able to find the correct bore for a set from McMaster-Carr, but the inner hole was too small. So I did order those. I'm going to have to figure out an easy way to enlarge those. So, well, all I have left to do on this before I throw it in the parts washer is heat it up and remove that plug, and I'll probably heat it up and remove this plug. And then we can get it cleaned up, media blast some pieces here, and like this one. That's interesting. Okay, you know, I'll do quick media blast on it. There's two Allen screws in here that push down on this gland here for the adjustment, or this piece here. What is that actually called? Yeah, I have to look a little bit further. But anyway, that pushes down on the gland, which the gland packing, which is in here. I do have a new set that I'm going to use on this one. And we can go from there. After fighting and getting the cotter pin out of down here, the castle nut, and then using a large socket, we can get the castle nut off. And here you can see the leather is very stiff. There's the piston. And again, stiff leathers on there, and then that comes off. And then That's odd. There's a spacer, but what I'm saying is odd. So I only see one O-ring here. Okay, well, we'll check that out. Pull this down. It's almost like this is different or been reworked. Luckily the shaft doesn't look like I bent the shaft any, or didn't warp the shaft any when I was heating it up to get that bad boy off. And let me see here. Here's the gland packing. Again, it's not the worst, but I do have one set of these, so I'll probably put it in here since this ain't got heated up so much. So there we go. That is confusing me, concerning me a little bit that there's only one O-ring. I guess I'll put a second one on there. Seems like the other one I've done. On that, a different kind of slot on there, but maybe it didn't. I'm seeing no evidence of anything, so I guess I can take the other one back apart and take a look at it. I will clean the threads out of here, and then the grease kind of got baked on there, so I'll hit it with a really fine piece of this stuff, Scotch-Brite pad. But other than that, that's all there is to it. Just goes back in the reverse order. All right. Or get this stuff soaking, get it degreased, and gotta wait for the replacement leather boots, whether or not what I'm getting isn't leather. It's called can't remember, Banna or something like that. So okay, thanks. I did find some replacement cups, piston cups for it. Now they don't come with a hole in it, and I need an 1.5 inch hole. So my solution is I 3D printed something to center it. Then I've got this gasket hole maker. And so what I'm going to do to try to get it as centered as possible, will it go that way? I already ran it through once, and I didn't make the hole originally big enough when I 3D printed it. So I'm going to set it up here in my print. Okay, there it is. I'll pull it out here in a second and show you. It would have been a lot better if I wouldn't have been so lazy and just went in and reprinted it so that here's the diameter of this gasket cutter. But we'll see what happens. Okay, not perfect, but it got the job done. Okay, let's get these tilt cylinders put together. All right, the way these go, first of all, you have the gland part up here, and I've got a new set of gland. I don't remember what you call those. Packing, I guess. Now, I'm going to just put a little bit of oil on that. Or remember right now. Yeah, I brought them up. I'm just going to tap this thing a little bit. Okay, so we got that in there. Those are new glands. Now I got a new O-ring for that I ordered. And I've already assembled the other one, and it was fine on that one. There's some slight variations on this for some reason. I'll show you the other variation. This was too big for here, so this particular one looks okay. I think it's going to be all right. I hope. So the next thing that goes on there is this beautiful little spacer here. And then we have our first cup that goes there. Now, I got ahead of myself. Before we do that, and here's the other variation. On the other shaft, there's a spot for two O-rings here. This one only has one. For some reason, it's got this slot here, and when I took it apart, there was only that O-ring on there. I'm using these Viton ones that I got from Harbor Freight. It's supposed to be good for hydraulics. So back to this. We put that on there, and we put that's the actual piston. And then we put our other piston boot, like that. And then this castle nut goes on there. Now I've got to tighten this castle nut, or at least line it up right there. And then that doesn't get tightened on very tight. It came right off when I was working on the other one, and when I took this one off. So put our cotter key in there to keep that so I can get that bent around. Like that. And we'll flip it around there. We're just kind of lightly tap it into place. And that should be done. Now, what I'm going to do here, a little dust in it just sitting here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put just a little bit of oil up here. We're going to see if that's going to slide in. If it doesn't slide in, then what I have to do, and it did slide in almost too easily, so I'm hoping I've got the right size. Now, this goes on like this. So this has to be shoved down, and I'll go over and do that on the press. Okay, we've got the boot on. Now inside the boot, I've got the lock nut. Next thing we can do is put that end on there. And we'll have another cotter pin in there. I had a roll pin, but I'll put that in there temporarily like that. I'm going to go a little ahead of myself there because where's it at? Aha! Yeah, I can do this the old fashioned way, I guess. We are going to put a clamp on there. Now you notice on this, that's where the 3D printer, that's the joint, where it stopped. No big deal. There's that. Now, I'll put these in temporarily until we actually hmm, till we actually get to hooking the hydraulics back up. I'll put this, just spin these in temporarily so I don't lose them. Come on. Now the last thing I have to do I need to put a new zerk in there.